Am I the a-hole for not telling my husband he smells sooner and ruining a friend's wedding? This week was the wedding of two of my husband's 33 male and my 31 female longtime friends. For some background, recently we've been having some issues. I told him I needed some space, so we agreed he should move back in with his mom temporarily. I wasn't thrilled about this because she tends to baby him, though I had to accept it as he had nowhere else to go and I wanted him out of the house. I wonder what to do about the wedding. We talked and decided it would be best for us to go together and for him to move back home afterwards. He didn't have time before the wedding to pack his things up, and so got ready at his mom's while I got ready at home and we planned to meet there. When he arrived, I was already chatting with friends. He came over to us and immediately I noticed his rotten stench on him. He smelled like he'd been dumpster diving. It made my eyes water a little. I noticed our friends noticing, but he was completely oblivious and kept on chatting. I tried to let him know discreetly, but he was not getting the hint at all. We took our seats in the chapel and the service was beautiful. By this point, my nose had pretty much tuned out the smell, but it was clearly affecting other people and I still hadn't had a chance to let him know. After the service, I saw an old girlfriend I hadn't seen in years and wanted to catch up. Apparently, while I was chatting with her, a friend had pulled hubby aside and basically told him he stunk. He got upset and demanded we leave immediately. In the car, we argued, and he told me I was a horrible wife to let him embarrass himself like that in front of friends, and I was probably laughing behind his back. He said that I knew he could be forgetful, and since he was my responsibility as his wife, I should have called him up at his mom's to remind him to shower. Usually he'll come in when I'm in. I was speechless and said nothing the entire car ride home while he berated me. This morning I checked my phone, and we have both been removed from a number of group chats that included friends that went to the wedding. I heard through some friends that the bride feels we ruined her day, as more people were talking about my husband than we thought, and she no longer wants to speak with us. I'm shocked and really hurt by this, and have been feeling guilty all day. I didn't want to embarrass him by letting him know when other people were around, but now I've costed him friends and feel like I handled it all horribly. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Told him he stunk. He got upset and demanded we leave immediately. In the car we argued and he told me I was a horrible wife to let him embarrass himself like that. Strong opening. He said that I knew he could be forgetful, and since he was my responsibility as his wife, I should have called him up at his mom's to remind him to shower. There it is. I'm gonna go not the a-hole. Your husband is the one who ruined their day by showing up smelling like a whale carcass. You could have said something. You did not. From his reaction, I'd bet he'd be mad either way, telling him or not telling him. And honestly, he should be embarrassed. He is a grown man, living with his mom, who still requires his wife to call him daily to remind him to shower. Nope. A 33-year-old man has to be reminded to shower? Leave him with his mom. He evidently needs a little more help from mom in being a grown-up. Not the a-hole. Seriously, I can't believe he pulled that nonsense on OP, and she didn't kick him out permanently. Did his mommy need to remind him to shower every day before he moved out of home? Did past roommates need to check his hygiene before he left the house? My teenage stepbrother has autism, and even he remembers to shower daily and wear deodorant. And if he couldn't smell the rotting stench coming off him while everyone else could, then clearly he is too used to his own nasty scent. Vomit. I think Opie needs space from her partner permanently. Send him back to mommy. Not the a-hole, but your husband is. You want to stay married to this poor excuse of a man? Seriously? No one, and I mean literally no one, should have to tell their spouse to shower. Being forgetful is no excuse for poor hygiene. Does he not have a nose? Is he incapable of smelling or even feeling the filth on his body? The fact that he berates you and puts this entire situation on you would be enough for me to make the separation official. This is appalling behavior. Also, he obviously knew what day it was. He had to dress up and prepare for the occasion. Who doesn't shower before going to a wedding? Look, I've been known to push my luck in terms of time between showers. I'm gross, I admit it. But I would never, ever go to a special event without showering that day. Ideally, pretty much immediately before going, so I can be as clean and fresh as possible. This guy must have some executive functioning issues to not shower before dressing up for a wedding. Which, okay, everyone's got their issues, but he's a total a-hole for blaming his wife for it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for blocking access to my food and threatening no help with accommodation? I, 22 male, I'm in my first serious relationship with Hannah, 25 female. We have been together just under a year. She moved into my place 3 months ago. Everything was fine at the beginning, but once we started seeing each other more frequently, I noticed her bad habit. Every time we went out and food was involved, she would sample my food before I got to it. We are not just talking of a chip here and there for my chip butt sandwich. In actual classy places, she would take the first chunk of my steak/salmon/cake. You name it, she would take the first bite. I had several talks with her about this, but she said it was cute and not sinister. 4 months ago, Hannah got a job with training opportunity. After completion, when she returns to her normal place, the salary will be higher. My place is 40 minutes closer than where she used to live, and I offered her to live with me rent-free if she stopped this behavior. The first month, she stuck to our agreement. The second month, she slipped up a few times. This last month, she has gone back to her old ways, and last weekend was the turning point. I bake, it's a hobby, and I made a cake. After dividing it into 8, I left it in the fridge while I went out with a friend. Usually, when I bake and friends drop me off, I will fetch a few slices and thank them for the lift home with the cake. Imagine my surprise when I saw that each piece had a bite taken. I phoned my friend that I owed him cake and he need not wait for me to come back down. I was angry. I told her that she embarrassed me and we needed to figure out a solution. She went defensive and said she ate it due to loving me so much. That all women do this, and guys love it. I made it very clear that she needed to stop now, or there would be consequences. Next day, I bought a lockbox for the fridge. She was livid, but couldn't do much. Last night, she broke the lock and had taken a bite out all of my snacks and 2 slices of baguettes in there. I told her to pack her stuff and leave, while I stay with my mother for a few hours. She called me an a-hole for making her homeless and possibly ruining her employment opportunities. Guys, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Also, major red flags here. She went defensive and said she ate it due to loving me so much, that all women do this and guys love it. Nope, they don't. This is very weird behavior. She's ignoring your boundaries and then she's using your inexperience against you to manipulate you into thinking this is normal. This is not a person who is acting in good faith here. This is a woman who is trying to use your inexperience and things like societal pressure on women regarding food to make you think your very normal boundaries and emotional reaction to your boundaries being crossed is incorrect. She's trying to get you to doubt yourself, your ability to set boundaries, and your emotional reactions. This person is bad news. Get away from her. It's super weird. The only time I taste my boyfriend's food is if he offers it to me. Honestly, I expect my partners will be taking bites of my food. I'm a chef. I love to cook, I love to eat, and I love to share food experiences. I understand I may be in the minority with this. That said, you can get out of here if you think you're getting the first, second, or even third bite of my food. I need a minute to enjoy it. Try to play it as it's meant. This behavior from Opie's girlfriend is beyond bizarre. It's super controlling. It feels like she's marking her territory. That is not cute. And the fact that she thinks it is shows complete immaturity. Taking a bite out of every slice of a cake doesn't show love. It shows selfishness because nobody else can have a piece. She will likely be a controlling, possessive partner as time goes on. And you'd be so much better off not just kicking her out, but ending the relationship as well. Not stay home. It shows I'm possessive of you and your stuff and ruining it for everyone else. She's bad news. Get her out ASAP and don't leave her alone in there. Also, change the locks ASAP. That possessive behavior can easily turn dangerous. If possible, have a camera pointed at your car. I have a bad feeling she's going to mess with it too. Not the a-hole. I'm a woman and I can confirm that neither I nor any other woman I have ever met does this. It is not a thing that women do. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for making my mom cry and hurting her marriage? Background. My mom has me, 16 female, and my brothers Nico, 17 male, and Shay, 18 male with our dad. He died on my 5th birthday really suddenly. Mom was young and had the 3 of us, and she ended up meeting our stepdad less than a year later. I think it was about 2 years after my dad died that she introduced him to us as her boyfriend, and they married fast after that. At the time, Mom and my stepdad wanted him to adopt us and to change our last names to his, so we could be a legal family and share a family name. We had said no, but they went through the process for the adoption, and when it came time for court, the judge took us aside and we spoke to him and expressed that we did not want to be adopted or have our last name changed. It's not something I remember the best because at the time I was really upset, but the end result was the judge turned down the adoption request and the change of name request. My grandma said that the judge told my mom and stepdad that he didn't want to leave us feeling even more robbed of our dad by taking away his name and his ties to us legally. After that, my stepdad tried so hard to get us to start calling him dad. He always called us his kids, his daughters/sons, etc. But he made for a real emphasis on how much he wanted to be our dad and how he wanted to feel us accept him in that kind of way. Mom would sit and tell us how we were blessed to have two dads, one in heaven who looked down on us, and one who was with us on earth and could raise us and be the parent we needed. She said it would be such a positive thing to embrace him as our dad. My brothers and I never did call him dad. Mom had more kids with our stepdad, and they call him dad, but it was always a problem that we didn't. My oldest brother graduated last year and he moved out soon after. He graduated early, and there were some things that went down which resulted in mom and stepdad bringing Nico and me to therapy with them. 4 weeks ago during therapy, my mom and stepdad brought up how tired he is of feeling like he raised us for nothing because we never show him the love he believes he deserves, and we don't show him the respect he wants by denying him the title of dad. They said he is very close to leaving, so mom asked if either of us would consider trying to be more open to the idea. Would we at least refer to him as dad to others even if we don't call him dad to his face? I said I would never be okay with that. My brother too. Mom cried and my stepdad, well, I think that was a breaking point for him. It feels like their marriage is all but over, and deep down I know both of them blame me and my brothers. I hate seeing mom so upset, and my stepdad can't hide the fact he's angry with us over it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. They tried to force the adoption down your throats when none of you wanted it. And now he says this is a deal breaker for the marriage? If that's true, he never really wanted a marriage. He just wanted to be a dad. Which, considering they had kids together, he is. And if he considers leaving because his stepchildren aren't calling him dad while his real children do, I don't know, he seems weird. It sounds like it's just about control. He doesn't like that the older kids won't comply with his demand. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for cutting someone off financially because they were acting entitled? Plus little update. I, 25 female, have an average paying job, doing body piercing, so earn enough to live off. My friend Lottie, 24 female, who I had been friends with since I was little, did not come from a financially fortunate family and has no job. Extra info? No disabilities, mental disorders, or anything at all to stop her working. Plus, she has a public transport pass. So ever since I got a job at 16 years old, I supported her financially, treating her to meals and trying to help her avoid takeaways for her well-being. I even paid clothes for her. And when she was 18, I paid for 1/4 of her apartment rent and hair salon appointments. Keep in mind, she is on government benefits. This continued, which is absolutely fine, and she always told me she liked the unemployed life as the reason she didn't work. All was okay, until I officially started making more money at 21 years old. I began treating her to more designer clothes and shoes, but nothing like Gucci or Chanel, as a treat for being a good friend. She began to meet a few friends, whom of which never knew her financial situation, I presume, and would only wear her best designer clothes around them, and high heels plus jewelry. I was happy she was wearing them confidently. She started to ask to bring her friends over to my house a lot. I do not know these people. Met a few times but not introduced properly, and I was okay with that, as I know she was a bit insecure. Until it became every single week. One night, she asked to throw a quiet casual gathering at my house while I was at my boyfriend's, which I was entirely fine with. Well, what do I come back to? Beer bottles everywhere. My stuff thrown about the place. My cats scared. My clothes ripped. And multiple of my practice piercing ears ripped. There were even used tampons on the bathroom floor and vomit was everywhere. I collected my cats and briefly went to my bedroom, which thank goodness had a lock, whilst waiting for everyone to leave. Then I heard Lottie and her friend talk, and Lottie was talking about how she was grateful that her friends came to her house, and that Lottie was making £60,000 a year. She said something along the lines of, "Yes, if you ever need any designer, let me know and I'll buy you some." And that's how I found out all the designer clothes she didn't wear that I bought her were given to her friends that all have jobs. So when everyone left, I was furious. I stormed at her and shouted, "Give me my stuff back and get a freaking job. I will not be supplying for you at all. I don't want my stuff back. You're an adult and grown up enough to stop acting like I'm your mummy." She refused to give me my stuff back, so I told her if she didn't give me my stuff back, I would tell her friends about it all. So she obliged and started acting the victim by saying, "But I don't want to work." So I told her to get out, and she did. And I spent 3 hours cleaning my place. 2 weeks later, I'm still friends with her but getting calls from her begging to have some money. Everyone in my life thinks I'm an a-hole for this. Not an a-hole, but girl, if you can go to therapy, I think it will help you unpack why you let this woman ride your back for so long. I'm actually in therapy, but I had known her since I was a kid, so I had that emotional connection and trust. You had it, but unfortunately I don't think she did. Hers seems centered around what she can get from you. I'm sorry, your, hopefully friend sucks. You deserve way better. Not the a-hole. She's a lifelong mooch, and not your friend. You have no responsibility for her life and financial situation. You never did. Of course, she likes the unemployed life and doesn't want to work. She's getting a free ride off the government and your hard work. I will say, you did kind of set yourself up for this by feeding into her mooching behavior since childhood. But you're both adults now. And able-bodied adults have to work whether we want to or not. That's just life. You really would be doing yourself a favor to cut her, and anyone else who doesn't see what an ungrateful leech she is, out of your life and find better friends who truly appreciate when you decide to treat them. And don't just constantly have their palms out of your money. Thank you for your feedback. I have noticed a significant difference in my money management since cutting her off financially. And the only reason I ever did give her money was because she'd always, I presume, lie about how little money she actually had. And again, lied that nobody else was willing to give her money. Then you should have given her job applications if she had little money. I tried. Update: we aren't friends anymore.